Welcome to Let's Talk Passion and Purpose, the podcast where we explore the journeys of creators, leaders, and visionaries who've turned their passions into purpose. Join your host, Nicole Thomas, as we dive into inspiring stories, uncover strategies for success, and help you take the next step toward a life filled with meaning. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Passion and Purpose with Nicole Thomas. I'm excited because in this interview, I sit down with Jacquese Armstrong. Jacquese is a writer, poet, mental health advocate, and creative force with a deep passion for using the arts to inspire healing and foster wellness in the African American community. Her mission is clear: to educate, inspire, and motivate others through creative expression, particularly from a mental health perspective. The background in journalism and a social emotional arts facilitator certificate, Jacquese has built a unique career that blends creativity and advocacy. She is the founder and host of the NAMI, New Jersey Expressive Arts Café, a virtual space where individuals can explore self-care through activities like poetry, workshops, art journaling, and storytelling. Through her work, Jacquese has touched countless lives, creating a welcoming environment for people to heal and connect through the arts. Her literary work is equally powerful. She is the author of Birthing Yourself Naturally, a motivational reflection on her mental health journey, as well as Blues Legacy, a poetry collection that explores the intersection of identity, mental health, and healing. Her writing has been featured in numerous anthologies and journals, and she's received awards such as the Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award and the NAMI, New Jersey Dara Axelrod Expressive Arts Leadership Award for her outstanding contributions to mental wellness through art. Jacquese's commitment to breaking down stigma and promoting mental health recovery in communities of color has earned her accolades, numerous accolades, including the 2004-25 Women's E-News Fellowship and the New Jersey Governor's Council a Mental Health Stigma Ambassador Award. Whether she's crafting poetry, leading workshops, or advocating for mental health, Jacquese's work is rooted in purpose and passion. In this interview, she shares her journey, wisdom, and a few pieces of her incredible poetry with us.
I am a walking blues song in need of touch from an African shore. Just like Jasmine Horn was channeling Betty Carter, I find myself in an Abbey Lincoln conjure of Billie Holiday, Will, and Bessie Smith taking cues from Ma Rainey, breathing those fumes of exhaust from plantation dust that kicked up the rhythm's essence, remembering the eye of the storm, the gale, the night she moaned loud as the baby passed in the hold of the ship. The mother and child sang cried in unison, coming to an unpromised land. And I am a walking blues song in search of reality to the touch. 'Cause the unison sound cry fueled the storm, I, like the child, choke on my own vibe. Not natural to me, passed on from my mother's womb, and the storm hovered, so I fled to the underground interiors of the mind. My innocence to preserve, I provided my own sense, but now larger than life. Exiting time warp tunnel, sun over my shoulder, kaleidoscope gray lens eyes, the wind conforms to my body is my shield. I am a walking blues song in need of reality touch. On my knees, palms down, grit ground from my ancestral shore.
Wow, Jacquese, absolutely beautiful. Jacquese, I just have to say, welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. And thank you for sharing your piece. I have to delve in quickly to better understand what was the inspiration behind this piece.
Just personal angst on my part. Walking around kind of bitter about things and not understanding where I was in time in my own recovery story, and just in a crying mode, and it just came out.
Mm-hmm. I can hear it in the reading and in just the words, your choice of words, so rich in detail, and the claiming of self, almost grounding yourself. To start things off, can you tell us how you first got started on your path as a writer, any creative?
Actually, I had never planned to be a writer. From a child, I wanted to be a lawyer. It was always, when I went to school, it was always, what am I going to do for undergrad? Because, I wanted to go to law school. And so I went to be a chemical engineer because a lot of people were seeking engineers at that time, and I had the aptitude for it. And it just so happened that when I was 20, I had a break, and I had the break in the weirdest way. I had the voice of an African man that used to dictate poetry to me. And some of the poetry he dictated kind of dovetailed into some of the things that I heard in a Black literature course that I took later on from a lot of the Black arts movement poets that I dearly love to this day. People like Sonia Sanchez and Nikki Giovanni and Carolyn Rogers and Amir Baraka. And I just kind of gravitated toward that, and that's how I started writing.
So after the break, what was that aha moment that helped you continue or lean into writing?
Basically, I write because I have to. I wrote for 20 years and never showed anybody but my family. I write in order to cope. It's my number one recovery tool.
How has writing helped you recover as you manage some of the challenges you faced?
I think that in the beginning, I found a lot of answers in my writing. I think it's very cathartic. It makes you question things. It makes you analyze the things that are going on in your head. It helps you figure things out that are going on in your head, because a lot of times mental health professionals are of no help and you're on your own. I just be blunt about it. I'm one to believe that the answers are inside of you, and you need to do the work and find them yourself. A good therapist will be the one who will help you pull it out from you, and they will be the first to tell you that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And to me, the arts are the basic tool, one of the best tools to pull that out. Dancing, music, writing, visual arts, collage, anything like that. Just creativity, period.
So creativity it's a part of growth and healing.
Yes, exactly. Healing.
It's a part of healing. So many of us, especially in this day and age, with all the distractions and all of the input from society, sometimes it's difficult to balance our mental health, to stay sane in a chaotic world.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think people can use their creativity to create balance and heal, based on your experience?
I think that people just need to take the time to do that. I think what we're missing is, when we were in school, I know now arts are missing in school, music is missing in school, a lot of schools. But when I was in school, we had art, we had music, and we all did those projects, and then we grow up and we think, well, I can't make money at it, so I'm not going to do it. But I think that's a big mistake. Just because you're not good enough to make money at it doesn't mean you're not good at it, number one. Doesn't mean that it's not beneficial to you, number two. it's beneficial to you. You shouldn't give up things that you like doing, and just something as simple as coloring is a mindfulness exercise. It relieves your stress. Just the colors delight your eye.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And if you think that, a lot of the things for social emotional arts are for kids, but they're not. Those are the things that heal you.
Yeah, they are. They are the things that heal us. And you mentioned the word mindfulness. I know so many people get turned off with the word mindfulness because they associate it with New Age. When in fact, mindfulness really helps us get grounded, helps us get centered so that we can find the answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful. Just thinking through all of the work that you've done, how were you able to develop your craft as a writer?
It's funny. I have a philosophy to have no philosophy about writing
Tell
poetry
us more.
anyway. I mean, I write the King's English when I write. That's the way it is. When I do a poetry workshop, I don't want people to feel intimidated. I always tell them that, a poem is your personal expression. And if it's one word or if it's 20 pages, and if it rhymes or if it doesn't rhyme, if it has structure, if it doesn't have structure, if it has your structure, if you make the structure, it doesn't have to be a sonnet. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like to look at it. And that's the way I write poetry. Now, a lot of people would take a challenge with that, but that's a lot of people. It's not me. I kind of go intuitively with it.
You go intuitively. And I was going to ask you about your creative process. So it sounds as if you don't have a strict methodology or methodology you follow. And did you end up going back to school to pursue an advanced degree in writing? What shaped your writing to be where it is today?
Just basically reading, I guess. Reading and thinking. I am more interested in what I'm saying than the craft. And that, not poetic at all, but I'm more interested in getting the point across.
Yeah. The message. Where does this message come from?
Download. That's all I can. It's like it's like an emotional download. That's what I call it. Now, if I'm in a workshop and somebody gives me a prompt, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. I can think about it for a while and then maybe in half a day I'll come up with something. If I'm lucky, I might come up with something in the workshop, but most people believe in having a writing practice, getting up, writing.
No. You're shaking your head. No.
No.
No. I like to touch on mental health advocacy.
Okay.
When did you decide to use your communication skills and your writing specifically to support mental health, to become a mental health advocate?
I when I was 20 and I had that break, I started hearing voices then. And those voices dogged me for like 24 years. And when I was 44, they came up with something that in the form of a pill that helped me not hear voices anymore. And about that time, I was involved with NAMI, New Jersey, and they were looking for people to participate in a documentary about mental health and minorities. and I volunteered to be in that. And that was the first time I talked about um, my mental health problem, challenge, whatever you want to call it. And that's the time I made that conscious decision that I would talk about um, my challenges and try to help other people by talking about it and normalizing it. And I did some poetry on that documentary. And after that, I started doing In Our Own Voice as a program of NAMIs where you go out in the community and you tell your story and try to break down stigma that way, by sort of putting a faith and a story to mental health challenges. And I did that for a very long time. And I wrote in a column that was a Black mental health site called Ourselves Black. And I really like that. I would like to do something like that again. And just writing my story and trying to leave breadcrumbs, tools for other people to cross over a bridge on. That's what I try to do.
Mm-hmm. And that's wonderful that you're able to use your experience to guide others.
I would hope so, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we think about the expressive arts, what is your role as a writer and as a mental health advocate? What is your role with the Café?
The Expressive Arts Cafe came into play during the pandemic. Now, backing up, it was expressive arts. Well, it started out as the Expressive Arts Poetry Program. It was just an annual poetry contest, and I was over that. And then I got the idea. I was doing workshops at a mental health center, and I was in need of a job. And I thought, I could do these workshops for NAMI. We could do it out in the community, and I could take it to places like libraries and senior centers and churches and things like that. It could break down stigma, and it could be for everyone, right? So I pitched it to the executive director, and she liked it. And so then I started doing it. But then the pandemic came, and that shut that down. And I really loved doing that. That was a great job for me. So then we started doing the Café virtually, and that was once a month. And since then, that's been the Café. So
It's wonderful, wonderful.
But I create the workshops for it, and we do some writing workshops, but we do a lot of craft workshops too. We've had some very great guest artists like quilters and storytellers and people who do film and, just great people to come in and talk with us about their healing journeys and the art that they do. It's been great. People volunteer their time to do that. It's great.
That is wonderful. What role has community played in helping you on your journey as a writer, poet?
Since I moved, my community is virtual. I have a virtual community in Jackson, where I live. And I have a virtual community in New York. I have a virtual community that is kind of spread out. And I like that too, because you get different input from all over the United States, and it doesn't give you just one side of anything. It gives you a lot of different perspectives. And I love the way the pandemic just opened that up for everything.
When you think about your virtual community, do you feel like that it shifted how you serve in mental health and expressive arts?
The one thing that really floored me was that I was so isolated in my expressive arts that I didn't realize that it was like a flourishing thing it was like a discipline. It was something that was organic within me that I started because I needed something to heal me. And the therapists weren't getting it. They weren't helping me, and I needed help. And I just kind of came up organically with this artistic thing to do. And then I started doing workshops, right? But th- I found out that it's a discipline. Expressive arts is a discipline. There's social emotional art. You can get a doctorate in this stuff. And I'm like, so how did I tap into this? When I thought it was just organic, and it took me aback, but I got a C facilitator certificate in 2023 from Arts and Healing Initiative in California. And I got that online. And it took me about, I think it was like a 3-month course. It was awesome. Totally awesome. Great people from all over the United States taking it. It was a great experience. Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself during the process of going to get the C certificate? How did that help you as far as your growth as a creative, as a person? Yeah.
To be clear, I was detoxing from medication at the time. And I lived in a place where there is not a lot of peer support. I couldn't find any. If there is, somebody let me know. Because I couldn't find any. I tried everywhere looking for some and couldn't find any. And there weren't a lot of recovery-based anything. And I felt like I was out there all alone. And if it hadn't been for that course that I was taking, because it just took the edge off, because everything was, like I told you, the arts and healing, they just go hand in hand. And it just helped me through. It just helped me through. And it gave me the idea that, and this is something that I still want to do, I want to start like an arts and healing program here in the southern part of the United States, because we just don't have anything. We just don't have anything. And it's not good. It's not good. We need a peer oriented and arts type of thing. And I'd love to start, you need grants, money, something. I don't know how it's going to start, but I'd like to do that.
We're planting the seed. Yes. Planting the seed. And we know that once you plant the seed, resources will come as you actively put it out there. People know what you're seeking. Let's talk a little bit about the fall-winter issue of African Voices and your essay.
Okay.
And barefoot in my mother's garden to address healing. Do you mind reading an excerpt?
Sure. So this is from Walking Barefoot in My Mother's Garden to Address Healing. All the generations of my folks I have known never seemed as sad as I have been most of my life. My grandparents on both sides shone inner lights that beamed across any room and hugged the person before they got in it good. Their eyes smiled. No one took an ounce of their inner light. I want to uncover that for myself. I believe it is my birthright. Joy is a radical emotion in a world that wants to see you in a self-hatred mode. It is a creative defense against an accusatory and sometimes hostile environment. Joy mends inner fences and carries your spirit until it soars. It filters life's images through the sifting process of an artistic kaleidoscope lens. It allows you to crank out the smiles that are contagious and a healing balm for our community. I'm beginning to see us not only in terms of what preceded and what is presently available, but what we would like to become in a different light. I would like to see a healing for me, for you, for our community, and for those who caused the trauma. I am not selfish in my own vision.
Powerful. I am not selfish in my own vision. Jacquese, what do you want people to take away from this piece? What is the message that you want people to walk away with?
This particular message was basically to do the work and pass it on. You know, we have that thing about the intergenerational trauma, but we're never going to get over it if we don't do the work for it. And so we need to go digging around in our mother's gardens and see what's there and see what roots are like the roots in our gardens and what roots aren't like the roots in our garden and why, and investigate those things, because that fosters healing. You know, we need to know why our grandparents, even though they had so much less than we do and they lived back in Jim Crow all their lives, most of them had much better self-esteem than we ever will. We need to investigate that, because we don't need to live the way that we do. We don't feel good about ourselves, and we don't extend that to other people by and large the way they did. At least I don't see it.
No, I don't see it either. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say I don't see it either. I see it in pockets of communities, pockets of families who try to maintain or keep traditions. But going back to doing the work and passing it on and seeing what's in there with the roots, what is one way someone can go back and start doing that investigation? Do you have any advice?
It starts with you, just sit your back to you, investigate you. So some people just go around and they just live and they don't investigate. They just do. They don't think. And maybe I think too much, but I think that thinking is a process that we all need to do.
You mentioned sit your back to a tree.
Oh, I have this thing about trees.
I was going to ask you about nature and trees. Can you share more of what role nature's played in your healing and in your creative space?
I used to have racing thoughts a lot. And I would go to the river and sit among the trees. And sometimes I would just make up blues songs and start singing them. One time I wrote this poem and I said I was making up blues songs and singing them to the trees because they didn't mind. And then it just evolved to this thing where the trees were my sisters, and it just evolved that way. And it's funny because I found out some things in science that, trees have these underground root systems that are like communities and stuff. And it's real. And so I was at this one workshop and there was a lady from, I can't remember where she was from, somewhere near one of the South Asian countries. And she was talking about trees like sisters. And I said, oh my goodness, I do that same thing. And she said there was a tree in her homeland that they refer to as like the ancient sister. And she would have dreams about this tree. And it would tell her things and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. It's like cross culture, and this is something
Mhm.
that just came to me, you know?
What are some of the biggest obstacles you faced in your career, whether personal or professional, and how did you overcome them? I know you mentioned mental health. Has there been anything else that has been almost a hindrance to flowing in your creativity?
I think the biggest obstacle is mental health. Our mental health system is broken. And thank God I had an outlet artistically. I had my mental health team. And by the grace of God
No, by the grace of God.
and having a family that supported me, many people don't have that.
Many people don't.
It definitely wasn't the mental health system. I can
Mhm.
tell you that much.
But through it all, you've achieved so much. You've achieved so much and you're helping others. I mean, from awards to published books, you have not only put messages out in the world, but you're carrying along others. So their experience will be much different. At least I know that's your hope.
That's my hope, yes.
That is your hope. What do you want your legacy to be, Jacquese?
I'm just dropping breadcrumbs. I just hope that, no one left any for me. I just had to crawl in the darkness, trying to hope. And I just want to drop everything I know, you know, anywhere I can. It's hard because, nobody wants to publish this kind of stuff. And if somebody is a publisher and wants to publish this kind of stuff, let me know. I got plenty of it, but no one wants to publish it. And I work tirelessly trying to find avenues to publish this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I can understand that there are challenges, a lot of challenges, and I pray that someone who hears this podcast will be able to provide you with support to get your message out to help others. I do. I do. Because it takes one to help one. And community, as I mentioned, is important. Leaving breadcrumbs, what a legacy. We've touched on a lot of things. I would like you to share another poem if you can, which talks about your stages and approaching
This one
healing.
that's coming up, I would definitely like to do now because it touches on all the things.
When you say
But
it touches on all the things, what does that mean for us?
you'll see when you hear it. This is the last poem in my upcoming book of poetry that is the poetic illustration of my recovery journey. Okay. So this is called Truth Equals Stages, Approaching Healing. Stage 1. My first psychiatrist was a white-haired white man with blue flecks in his eyes that dared to stare mine down as he told me my life was essentially over at Torty. I was a chemical engineering junior at a major state university who had completed 2 internships and had mapped out my life for 20 years. I did not want to hear that. He said, "You will never finish college and you will never work." Those were the exact words that came from his mouth. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. You will never finish college. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. You will never work. I don't want to hear that. You big fat mother trying to sever my soul from myself, giving me no empathy in the process. Cold staring with a cigarette in your mouth, doping me up when all I want to do is finish my engineering degree. The fire under my bed is already lit. You can't tell me what's possible in a future. Psychiatrist as God is not an understanding for me. Maybe I won't finish my chemie degree, but I'll get another one. 'Cause I will never let a mother like you beat me. Stage 2. Decades later, my brain talks to my heart, saying, "You always leave me with the thankless jobs. The methodical folding of the rope you dangled over the abyss from, testing the tensile strength of the tightrope for your life's walk, stocking the books on endless shelves of meticulously executed plans that never came to fruition, making sure you have tissues. I sit through the job, whatever you do at the time, retail, journalist, workshop creator, telephone marketer, and have those tissues ready. After the clock ticks, we can leave. Drive you to the cafe so you can sit and drink and deposit inks from paper to laptop. Drive you to your therapist or the nearest park with water when you see reds through green and only a flow can soothe with Coltrane vibes, a Sonia Sanchez poem, singing blues with sister trees, a lake ripple, a God gratitude, the beauty of raindrops on the skin. You taught me that. I said we were a Rambo brain and a Bambi heart. Maybe I got it wrong. So I hang around till the next time we flow. Stage 3. My God has no voice. For me to have heard him, I would have to speak his language. That is mathematical creation-inspired science linguistics unknown to man. He holds the answers to the simultaneous equations that guide the universe and keep us. I trust him.
Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. So many messages in each stage. What is the overall theme or overall message you want someone to walk away with? I know you mentioned this ties up everything, but tell me in your words, what?
For me, that was my total journey up until now. And it's like, I can't make sense of it. I just trust God.
Just trust God.
I have tried to make sense of it. I make sense of it. And I'm not going to be bitter about it anymore. And I just trust God.
Amen. You trust God. And you're not going to be bitter. How did you learn to let go of bitterness?
Trust God. Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
I almost feel as if in your poetry that a part of trusting God is getting it out of your head onto paper and seeing it. You are reminded that your faith is in Him.
Gratitude. Gratitude is a big part of it. Gratitude. There is always something to be grateful for. Always, always, always. And I'm a big proponent of gratitude. I do gratitude workshops. Gratitude has gotten me out of big hole of depression. Yeah, just gratitude by itself. Even if you don't believe in God, gratitude will get you out of a hole.
For someone who doesn't practice gratitude, how can they begin to have a posture of thankfulness, of being grateful?
You know, that's a hard one because I have done gratitude workshops and I have had a person that just had no gratitude for anything. And there was nothing you could make him be grateful for anything, not even a breath that he breathed. He wasn't grateful for it. So there has to be something within you that can connect with gratitude, first of all. There really does. Some people don't have that. I didn't think that was possible, but I saw it.
And I think sometimes people are unwilling to recognize their own vulnerability, their own mortality?
I personally start with the small things like, thankful for getting up in the morning, thankful for, like, if you live in a house and you get up out of a bed and you take a shower, thankful for hot water, thankful for, just little things, everyday things. You can walk, you can breathe, you can touch, you can smell, you can talk, you can hear. There's so many things. You remember things. You look outside and you say, wow, the trees, the colors, the 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 birds are flying, the colors of the birds. I don't know. I can go on, but I've been doing it for a while too.
Once you begin practicing, you start to see the blessings everywhere. And it
But let
becomes
me also let you in on a secret. If you do it for 28 days and all you have to do is name 3 things every day for 28 days and you will see a change in your thought pattern, a change in yourself, I promise you.
28 days of gratitude.
3 things. You only have to write down 3 things. That's all you have to do.
And you will see a change.
Yeah.
Such great advice. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yep.
Is there anything that you have not shared that you would like to share? Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes. I am presently a fellow at Women's E News. They call it the Lauren Arbus Accessibility is Fundamental Fellowship Program. And they awarded to 2 people every year, one under 50 and one over 50, and I am the one over 50. And I've done 2 articles already, and I'm working on my 3rd article. So if you're interested, just look up Jacquese Armstrong and Women's E News, and you'll see my articles.
That is wonderful. And how exciting.
Oh, yeah, I report on mental health, of course. Yes.
And you report on mental health. Of course. I love this. Tell us about what's coming up in the future, in addition to what you just shared, including Underground Railroad of the Mind and fabricating a home because you never had one.
I'm right now, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time. I know you know this, but I like to say I just recently lost my dad, and yeah, I'm kind of going through the grieving process and just kind of taking it one day at a time.
I can understand.
And in remembrance of him. So
my condolences.
thank
Again,
you.
my condolences. What piece of advice, or what's one piece of advice or wisdom that has guided you on your journey that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah. Let's see. I tell you this. My grandmother, my father's mother, Lori Armstrong, always said, it's an ill wind that blows no good. Meaning, you can find something good in everything. There is nothing on the earth that can happen to you that you can't find something good in it.
That's powerful. That's some advice.
Those are words to live by.
No, that's to live by. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful words to live by. Insightful. Jacquese, if you can close us out with another body of work.
Sure. I'd like to close us out on a high note. This poem is all about remembering love. Begin remembering the magic of love. I speak love over myself daily. It is my armor, my shield, a covering passed down from conscious black hand to conscious black hand with a quick kiss hug before leaving any outer doorway. When I see the trees stark barren as if in a cold baked season, I always opt to dress its nakedness with my verse. I do remember the magic words. They gather through echoing time, our artistic resonance, creative conquests of nothing to make everything. Life dance pulsating as blood through veins. Colors make jump merry as children do play. Gather our joy, our excellence, our S-ness, cultivated through breath and clay at Genesis. I retain my life space, do remember the magic words. Wear my armor shiny, it is the love I speak over myself. We stand strong here in this land thick with the fog of 4 years plus of our collective tears, blood, and sweat. We nurse your wounds, America. We paved your roads. In this land of the attempted theft of our usness, by tightening the systemic grip on the psychological, emotional noose placed about our necks disputed, though you pull, our up is your down. And my grandfather said, never argue with a fool. Their definitive stance lacks reason. So I shine my armor, my shield, carry centuries' love as raiment. Never run for cover, I won't assist the devil when he tries to steal my soul. Won't slither my belly across the ground like a snake, crawl like a pleading beggar, or run for your lack of humanity. No. And today, I have decided neither to stroll, strut, nor walk. I will fly.
Wow. Jacquese, wow. I will speak love over my life, for lack of better words. What a piece. What a piece. Just the imagery and the message. So I want to ask you, as the closing piece, what do you want our listeners to walk away with after hearing what you just shared?
That our pain is the underside of our joy, and we can't forget our joy. We can't let them take our joy away from us. Our joy and our love are synonymous also. We can't forget that.
Out. I just have to say thank you so much for sharing your work on this platform, sharing your work with our listeners. Thank you. We have uncovered a lot during this session. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey.
Thank you for having me on, Nicole.
You're welcome, and I hope you will join us again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Let's Talk Passion and Purpose. I hope you're leaving inspired and ready to elevate your journey. Remember to subscribe, rate, and share if you enjoyed today's episode. Stay connected, follow your passion, live purposefully, and we'll see you next time.